Welcome to all on Women's Dialogue. And I'm your host, Shashi, with you all to create more voice for women and by women. And today's our guest from the Miami, Florida, Nikki Chaplin. She is an author, personal development coach, and through her workshop and personal coaching, she helps fiercely ambitious client women and especially design their ideal lives. So as you can hear, you might be getting excited what she has as a personal development. So let's get uh, dive deeper and hear from Nikki Chaplin by welcoming her. So welcome Nikki on this platform, and we are really excited to get deeper and dive into personal development in today's session. So welcome, Nikki.
Thank you, Dr. Sashi. I am delighted. I am thrilled to be here. This is exciting for me, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Nikki, and it is our great pleasure. I hope we are creating a same movement for our personal development as you are author and personal development coach. So before starting your career journey, let's start about your own self-development by hearing about your child development, your childhood journey. So please share about your childhood journey, how you live, what kind of movement you created, what kind of challenges you faced. So how those all movements or those memories help you or uh, give you the sense what way you are today?
Wow, that's such a fantastic question. Let's see, my early childhood memories. My earliest childhood memories are of perhaps I was drawn to books at a very, very early age. So I had the opportunity to really dream a lot. I was born in Jamaica. I was educated later on in Canada and also here in the United States. But I grew up with a lot of books around me. And from a very early stage, my dad used to read to me, my mom used to read to me. And I think that in many ways informed my love of reading. But beyond that, I find that reading helped to mentor me at a very early stage because in some ways by osmosis, I absorbed the teachings and so on that I found in the books. And because I grew up in a very small neighborhood, there wasn't much to escape to. And so for me, my escape when I had a little bit of free time from doing homework or from doing chores around the house, my escape was to a good book. And really, that has made all the difference in my life. Later on, when I started my career after graduating college and starting my career in corporate world, I found also that I gravitated towards those managers and leaders who were great mentors. And that is kind of how my career began. Not only were they great mentors for me, but I also found that I really enjoyed mentoring others. I really enjoyed sharing whatever I was learning, whatever I was doing, and also enjoyed helping others to move along in their career and to progress in whatever area that I or we happen to be working in at the same time. So that's just a little bit about how I grew up. And then on the authorship side, obviously, when you like to read a lot, it also, I think, cultivates a certain love of writing. My dad used to write a lot, and I guess some of that sort of rubbed off on me. So that's the two sides of how I came to have a career in transformative coaching.
Mhm. That's interesting. And when we are talking about your coaching and your work, and you share that very early age, you fond of love reading and you fond of writing and all, and it helped you to become the way you are today. Uh, so when we are talking about it, what kind of books you recommend in general when people are looking for their personal development or their self development in sense of what they are looking for? what kind of reading you suggest them?
At this stage, one of the books that really was transformative for me was The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov. That
Mm-hmm.
was really, really transformative for me because it really helped me look at my life purpose, why I'm here, how can I move through this world in a way that's most meaningful to me. And I believe in one of the quotes, and I paraphrase a bit, he says that when you're doing what's meaningful to you, that's when you're going to be at your very, very best.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, I paraphrase that, but that really stuck with me. Now, now I had to balance what's really meaningful to me with how do you earn a living at doing what's truly meaningful to you? How do you risk it? How do you take the chance? How do you know if it's going to work? And some of the lessons that I learned from Gary Zukov's book, Seat of the Soul, it really helped me to trust that if I do what I really want to do, it will
Right.
work out. It will
Mm-hmm.
work out to my advantage, and it will also work out to the advantage of those that I happen to be coaching and those that I happen to associate with. So that was very, very impactful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good share. And when we are talking about it, self development and personal development and coaching and all, uh, what it exactly looks like, and how one can, when they are looking for coach, what they should look for finding a coach, and when they are working as a mentee or mentorship, what way they should work on, how it takes all the process. Because if somebody is interested, and they might not be aware what it takes, they initially show their enthusiasm, right? And
Yes,
later they find, oh, it's like that much thing the person is asking from me, and might not find that interesting and lose that interest. So, could you explain a bit more about the process and all?
fantastic question. And it's interesting that you asked that because one of the things that I even have a coach for myself, I have more than one person that coaches me as well. But one of
Right.
the things that will sometimes keep an individual from finding a coach is you really are not sure what to look for.
Yes.
So, and also it's important to know ahead of time what you want for yourself, right? Because you're
Yeah.
going to be investing time, you're going to be investing energy, and you're also going to be investing your hard earned dollars. So
Yes.
here are a couple of things that I would suggest if you're looking for a coach, which you should strongly consider. First of all, do you have an idea of what it is that a coach can do for you? Why would you need a coach? Where do you want to go with your life? And there
Right.
are many different types of coach. In my coaching, in my case, it's a transformative coach. I look at an individual's career not just from the short term, on a short term basis, but overall on a longer term basis, because essentially you are curating your life. You're putting all the pieces together, right?
Right.
So you want to look for a coach that has an understanding of where you're going. And most coaches will initially give you a discovery consultation for free so that you understand and so that you figure out, is this person the right match for me, right? So then once you have figured out for yourself before you engage a transformative coach what it is that you want to do, I would
Right.
suggest that you come up with a list of, let's say, 5 to 7 things that you want to discuss with the coach. This is
Mhm.
what I'd like to get some clarity on. This is what I'd like to get some support on. And this is where I am going with my life over the next 3 years, over the next 5 years. That
Right.
way, the coach can have an understanding if he or she is the right fit for you, and also whether or not you can support the client in the ways that they want to be supported, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
the client also has a little bit of preparation work to do, a little bit of homework to do, but in the end, it will make it so much more beneficial. And you end up selecting the coach that is right for you. And never mind, you can interview one or more coaches to see which one is the perfect fit for you. So those would be
Right.
my tips in selecting a coach.
Yeah, I think that those are wonderful tips, and same time, it's a good start when somebody is looking and trying to find some their queries to be answered, to look for whom and what way they should start looking for. So when we are talking all those tips and the finding the right coach or mentor, in the current scenario, we are having this global pandemic, and people are having a lot of issues in their life, in personal life, in their professional life, and in family life, in all many areas, right? So, what do what way you advise them, or what way you suggest them that they should try to find those pieces or those connectors to get that sense or peace in their life, job loss, stress, isolation, depression, like business loss. They are just, you name it, right? We are keep hearing those all those kind of things around us, and we definitely, as we know, we try to ignore, we try to avoid, but at the same time, it doesn't uh, remove your anxiety. It doesn't remove your stress level. It doesn't make your stress level less. So how and what way they should work on, or what is ideal to start maybe learning or coaching.
Right. This is such a challenging time for all of us. With the
Yeah.
pandemic that set us back, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And with everything else that's going on around us, I mean, it can cause you to feel like you're off center, you're off kilter, and you just need to get back to center. But it's
Mhm.
easier said than done, right? Agreed.
Mhm.
It is easier said than done.
Yeah.
However, regardless, I believe that we still have to realize that we have this moment that
Yes.
we can make a decision. And it
Mhm.
happens to be that we really have to get to the point where we decide, we make a decision that we are going to move forward.
Mhm.
What is happening, and I know it's easier said than done for all of us. However, what has happened in the past, we cannot change it. It provides us, though, some data for us to work with, right? And it's how we interpret that data of what has happened to us that will
Right.
help us move forward, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's not going to be a 1, 2, 3. So we have to have compassion with ourselves because we are human beings. We feel, we hurt, we get disappointed, and sometimes the way forward isn't clear. And
Mhm.
despite all of the plans that we had and all of the ways that we were making progress, and we think that we were on this road where our momentum was just carrying us forward, all of a sudden we come to a dead stop and we're asking, how do I move forward? So,
Mhm.
number one, look back at what has happened to you and try to figure out a way to reinterpret the meaning of it. For example, I can tell you, I mean, it has set us back. It has set all of us back. I remember in my corporate career, the first time I had a negative, what I considered then a negative performance review, I felt like that was going to set me back for the rest of my life. I
Right.
felt like someone took me out of the line and put me to the back of the line, and there was
Mhm.
no way to move forward.
Right.
However, I have since realized that that emotion that was coming up at that moment was giving me data that I could work with.
Mm.
And I had to really step back and look at everything that was involved in getting that negative performance review. And of course, at the time, I didn't think I deserved it, but that is beyond the point. That is besides the point. I had to really look at what was your vice president telling you at the time? What was your manager telling you at the time? And how did it come to that? And then I had to figure out a way to reinterpret that to move forward, to pick up the pieces and to move forward.
Mhm.
Because when you lose momentum, it plays with your emotion because all of a sudden you begin to second guess yourself. And this is the time also that you really truly have to be careful to get proper advice and reinforcement from the right person. In other words, be
Mhm.
careful not to turn to complaining, blaming yourself, or feeling like you will never again pick up your momentum, because you will. You
Mhm.
can make the decision that you will pick up momentum, you will move forward. However, it's important to get clarification and get the right advice from someone who can help you, and this is key, become strategic with where you are so that you can move forward.
Right.
I mean, sometimes
Yes.
when you're in a setback moment and the anxiety is raging and you're swallowing all the interpretations that everyone around you is saying,
Mhm.
that can also set you back. But what you
Mhm.
really need at that time is to sit down with a person or with counselors or with trusted advisors. And not everyone can be a trusted advisor, though they mean you well. They might not be the right person to give you advice. What you want
Right.
is strategic advice so that you can look yourself in the mirror and realize, how do I move forward? What is your
Mhm.
contribution to this moment? What has brought you to this moment? Because whatever happens to you, whether it's a setback or a good thing, or something that moves you forward, gives you forward progress, you had a contribution in it, you had a part to play. So you need to have that group or that person around you who can help guide you through the waters at that time.
Right.
However, it's a decision that we have to make, that we are going to move forward. We are not going to allow the moment to swallow.
Mhm.
We're not going to allow ourselves to be swallowed up by the moment, because
Right.
we're stronger than that, right? Even though
Yeah.
our emotions are clouding how to move forward at the moment, we know deep down that if we've come this far, obviously there is a strength inside of us that we can call on to help us to move forward. We just have to be strategic about it and make the decision to do it.
Yeah, yeah, those are really helpful advice and suggestion which you made, especially in current scenario. The person, if they are looking for their development, they are looking for to deal all those challenges or uh, depressing moment, as you said. So, Nikki, you are a personal coach. You are a transformational coach, and I believe you must be having a lot of stories, lot of experience, dealing with a lot of clients, personal and corporates. Would you like to share some inspiring and motivating stories where you found uh, something like yes?
Well, yes, even though we've been through a rough patch here, there's so many stories that I could share with you of people that have come through it, and they're saying, even though the pandemic set us back, I have really done well in spite of it. I know of one particular client, for example, when the pandemic hit, she was thinking of transitioning to a different position, transitioning out of her industry.
Right.
And after we had this long conversation about, why do you want to do this? How do you see yourself in the next 20 years if you make this transition from where you are to where you think you want to go?
Mhm.
We had
Mhm.
that long conversation. They did some more self thinking, some more reflecting, some more self reflection. That particular individual ended up getting a promotion and taking over her entire department. In other
Mhm.
words, she didn't just move up on the ladder one step. She catapulted, she jumped over the moon to take over her department. And all because she was able to frame her thinking about where she was in a more proactive way. In other words, she saw her investment in herself as able to get her to where she wanted to go without having to switch industries. So that was really beautiful one to me. And then there is another individual that I know of that started a company and is doing awesome.
Wow.
He's doing awesome, and all because the pandemic gave him the
Wow.
moment to sit down, get quiet, think about who he was, what he wanted to do, and to really study and really get better at his own craft. So he was able to start his own company. And then
Mm.
again, it goes back to a decision. I mean, it's not so easy to make the decision,
Yeah.
but it's something that's necessary. I am going to do this. I can do this. This
Right.
moment is providing me an opportunity. And let me tell you, Dr. Sasha, there's inspiration everywhere, right?
Right. Yeah.
We have to be, right? We have to be open to it, and we have to embrace it. But there's inspiration all over the place. If you look for it, you will find it. And this is not to minimize anything or to say it's going to be easier, one, two, three, but as Gary Zukov said, when you're doing what you are meant to do, what resonates with your soul, that's what you're going to be good at,
Mhm.
right? If
Yeah,
it's something that
absolutely.
you really want to do, you are going to be very, very good at it.
Right, right. And when you are saying that it's all about us, how we find the positivity, and I believe in the same purpose, on the same mission. We are here today together, trying to create more positivity, trying to inspire and motivate people by hearing your story, by hearing your work, your journey, and connecting with you, inspire and get motivate, and find in their own life those moments and get ahead in their life. So when we are talking all this inspiring and motivation, Nikki, many times I believe you might be finding the clients are want to do so many things, but same time confused, or maybe having some as we are talking about motivation, so definitely opposite of motivation may be dull or having depression or something, some kind of thing, but same time maybe a lot of bubbles and a lot of thoughts are going on, and they want to do something, but they same time personality is opposite. How you deal that?
Right. So I think that one of the things that hold us back is sometimes we fear that we're not up to the
Right.
challenge,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We
Mm-hmm.
fear that, oh my goodness, how can I possibly do that? I can't do that. But we cannot allow ourselves to be trapped in fear. We cannot allow ourselves to be swallowed up by the fear of, well, maybe it won't work. Well, what if it doesn't work? Well, oh my gosh, what is this one going to say? What if I try it and I get disappointed? I would have wasted my time. I would have to say that no effort that you make with serious dedication is wasted. All it is, it's knowledge that you are accumulating. Just as my friend who started a new company during the pandemic, I'm sure he had to go through many different things to start his company, and he's doing extremely well at it. So all of the effort that he's made up to that point that he started doing well and excelling and all of that, some of it didn't work, but in the end, the knowledge that he gained gave him the foundation to move forward. So
Right.
we have to stop ifing ourselves. If it doesn't work, um, I've wasted my time. We have to stop fearing. We cannot be afraid to learn,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's yeah.
What stands between us and where we need to get is what we need to know. And there
Mhm.
is someone out there with the knowledge that you are seeking. Once you
Mhm.
get the knowledge, once you become aware of it, what it is that you don't know, right?
Mhm.
Then you can
Yeah.
start to seek support. I remember for myself when I was in corporate, I was the youngest analyst in the group.
Mhm.
However, I used to ask a lot of questions. And I remember the president of the company that I worked with, um, for some reason, he would pick on me, perhaps because I realized I really didn't know a lot and I really felt insecure. So I felt like I had to ask the question to sort of, make myself worthy to be in the group.
Mhm.
And I remember him giving me a really big assignment one time, and I was just terrified. And I said, well, how am I going to do this? I don't, I- I'm paraphrasing now because I don't remember the exact words that I used, but I said, essentially, I don't know how to do this. And he said to me, All you have to do is ask questions about the things that you do not know. Now, I was the youngest, most junior, and in my mind, the most inexperienced person in the group, right? So for every question that we have, for every insecurity that we have, for everything that we think we don't know and we cannot possibly measure up, and we're not worthy or we're not ready, that's another thing that holds us back, is we think we have to get ready. Well, really don't. What you really have to do is to figure out the question that you need an answer to, and then try to figure out, well, who has the answer to this question, right? And, you know, and that's one of the, not to be pushing transformational coaching, but that's one of the things that coaches can help you do, because they're doing it without the stigma of, how is it that you don't know this answer? How is it that you're not ready? There is no stigma to lack of knowledge, right? So we can always get the answer to the questions that we don't know, right? And we cannot be afraid to learn. Learning is one of the most powerful things in the entire universe, right? Think of it. Einstein failed so many times with his experiments. If you go back in history, Darwin failed so many times, right? If you go back in history, Newton failed so many times. But what they did was they started somewhere, and they started to put the pieces together. And, you know, we've got to give ourselves credit. We're much more brilliant than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah. That's true.
We're so much more brilliant than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, right. And so when this is again very strong tip or advice which you are saying, give yourself credit, or self-appraisal is important when you are finding all surroundings maybe as news and the fearful environment everywhere. You are finding fear, negativity. Maybe give yourself self-appraisal and credit for your work, right?
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you said that, because I have two baskets, right? One I keep up my left and one I keep up my right. The basket that I keep on my left says, when I get information, let's say I'm doing something and a person's maybe give their opinion and it's in harmony with what I want to do, I put it in the harmony basket. And this is real for me. When someone gives me information that is not congruent or not in harmony with what I want to do, I put it in the questionable basket, because to me, that's data. I'm thinking, does this data support what I want to do? Is this data giving me information that I need to know? Or is this data that I need to discard, right? Just two baskets, right? And so we can all do the same thing for ourselves. We can believe in ourselves a little bit more. And every piece of information that comes into us, whether it's coming from external sources, your friends, your coworkers, your managers, whomever, it's all data, and we can categorize them according to what it's doing for us. But sorry about that. But what we don't want it to do is torpedo our plans, right? So if we can keep our plans in the forefront, this is the person that I'd like to become. This is what I'd like to do. This data that's coming in, is it supportive of where I'm going, right? Let's say, for example, you wanted to take a trip somewhere, right? And you wanted to go a certain way. Let's say you wanted to go first class, and someone comes up to you and they say, oh, you know, that's so expensive. How can you possibly take the trip and go first class when all of this is going on around you?
Right.
Right? You have two baskets. Is it supportive of your dream of going wherever it is that you determine that you want to go? Right? You can put it in that basket if you feel it's in harmony with what you want to do. Or if it's not, you can put it in the basket of data and determine at some point in time, well, yeah, it was interesting, but I don't believe it anyway, right? So that way you go with the basket, you go with the one that's harmonious to where you want to go, what it is that you want to do. And that helps you be more compassionate with yourself, because it takes you outside of your head, outside of your emotion, because whether the data is coming from, things that you swallowed as a child and interpretations that you had as a child, or whether it's coming from an adult, it's all data, right?
Yeah.
And the more you interpret it the way you need to interpret it, the better off you're going to be. And I think it will also help to ease your anxiety a little bit.
I think you share a lot of beautiful and very practical tips, and those suggestions like how one can analyze or how one can think, and even if uh, they might want to use in a physical way to have two baskets and can write those small on paper. Okay, this one I got, this one I got. So these are very practical and very useful tips and advices which you are sharing with us. Thank you, first of all, Nikki, for sharing with us. One thing I just would like to ask about, uh, especially in women's life, they have everything. They are very good education, all those things. But when it comes to about their own self development, career, and all, they as you might have observed yourself, as you share, like we get our on those fear. Oh, I'm new. Oh, I don't know that, right? And as you are sharing that your boss advised us ask questions, right? This is very definitely it's very simple thing, but why we miss that? What is the reason, right? I feel it includes sometime even myself or maybe you. We have those moments, but definitely we get wiser with our age and experiences. But at same time, if we see even I'm not biased, but I feel many times even if you see boys and men, they don't know, but they show very so much confident, and they will ask their friends, "Okay, I don't know this, and tell me and get this done, get this finished, right?" Uh, and this approach, how one can develop, especially that's why I'm asking about women, how they can do that, what way they can develop that. Any advice?
Right. You know what I think, Dr. Sashi, when we're growing up as girls, when we're growing up, we're taught to be a certain way. We're taught to be polite, to be good mannered, to not be appear to be pushy, to, sort of quote unquote, maintain a certain type of decorum, whatever that means,
Right,
right?
right, yeah,
Right. What I could say is that too much of that is not necessarily the best thing. So as we as women show up in the world, we pretty much have to show up. In other words, step over and show up, right?
right, yeah,
Show up without fear that you are going to be criticized. This does not mean that we have to be bullying or boisterous or that, but
right,
show up in your own skin and just be yourself, right? But
right,
show up at the table as someone who belongs there, and you don't have to qualify yourself to belong there.
right.
The fact that you are curious, you are serious, you are dedicated, and you can learn, those four things already qualify you to be there. So
Yeah,
if we can all remember, and we all go through the same thing, because there are times when we feel like, oh no, I'm not so sure I'm in the right place. We're fearing that. I can tell you from my own experience, when I
right,
got promoted to certain levels, I was so sure I was going to be eventually found out that I didn't belong, that that could have
right,
torpedoed my entire career.
yeah,
However, I found out, and I'm here to tell you that when you show up, just to borrow a phrase, just show up. You don't need to requalify yourself to be there to ask the questions, because you've already dedicated yourself to where you want to be.
right,
So when you get there, wherever it is, or when you're trying to get there, ask the questions that you need to ask. And know within yourself that you are dedicated to your career. Because if you hold yourself back, you're not just holding you back, you are holding back a whole tribe of people. You're holding back the people who you may end up being a role model to. You're holding back other women who may be looking to you for, for guidance. You might be holding
right,
back, and right, you might be holding back your family. And most of all, you are suppressing within you the person that you absolutely dream of being.
Mhm.
As
Right.
the person who inspired me to write my first book, Les Brown, he said to me, don't die with your music. Do not die with your music. So all I would say to us women who feel a sense of insecurity and we're constantly trying to be perfect, and that's another thing. We're
Mhm.
constantly trying to be a perfectionist at what we do, whereas there's no
Right.
such thing. You basically improve as you go and you keep improving. Why? Because you're
Right.
dedicated to your craft, right?
Right. Right.
Isn't that sufficient? That is
I
sufficient.
I think that is super and very encouraging and very courageous advice which you just made, that okay, no need to find that always we know those are as our values as we get learned, but uh, every time we find those perfectionist kind of attitude, and I think it holds us back rather than you already have those values, being serious, being disciplined, and all those. I think that makes us already ahead and keeping on a path of our the way we want to see ourselves to be successful, to whether we whatever we do. So that is really courageous, and I think very important advice for women. Moving ahead, last but not least, why do you feel the platform like this, Women Dialogue, is needed?
Oh my goodness, it is so needed because we have to get to the point where we as women are honest with ourselves. We as women, we are authentic, and we as women can help shape the world, right? We can help make this place a better world. And it has to start with us. And we have to start with really opening up the conversation, as we were saying before, beyond the edited version of ourselves. And when I say the edited version, I mean the resumes and the things that we try to show to the world, that it really doesn't have any edges. We're just, we came here when we're perfect and everything is going along swimmingly. That is not the
Right,
case,
right,
right? We need to get real and to be honest. We
right,
we need help. We need the support of other women, and we also need to feel the warmth of the community. And I feel that your community, Dr. Sashi, is a warm community because first of all, we start out with just being honest, with just being ourselves. So we
right.
need that warmth, right? And I think this is a fantastic opportunity for us just to be ourselves and to open up the dialogue in a way that we don't have on many of the other platforms.
Oh, that's so warm, and that's so wonderful the way you have feeling for this platform, and I'm so glad. And thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing your feeling and having such faith and warmth for this platform. I'm really blessed to have you, and thank you first of all for sharing your tips, suggestion, advice, and your experience with us. It was such a great pleasure to
It,
hear.
it, it, it was. Thank you so much. The time has flown by so fast. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, this has been awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, it's always, it makes me always feel like, oh, it's like the ocean of so much wisdom and knowledge. And I just want to grab and I want to share to my audience and viewers who can enhance, who can uplift their life as well. So it's always, I feel like, yes, it is a movement. And I want to make this movement super powerful where I can get lots of.
Awesome, awesome. I really love it. I am so grateful. I am so thankful. And it's been awesome for me. And thank you so much for having me.
And thank you once again. Thank you. And thanks to all our viewers. If you would like to hear more women voices and part of Women Dialogues, please connect with us and please share, subscribe, like, and thank you. See you in the next episode. And please don't forget to check Nikki's work, and her details are available in the description as well. Till then, see you in the next episode. Till then, take care. Bye bye.